Have you ever seen your whole life summed up as an obstacle in someone else's journal? I found it tucked away in a dusty box labeled Honeymoon Keepsakes. It was a beautiful leather-bound book, the kind my wife Amelia loved. Her elegant script filled the pages, but the words weren't memories of our trip to Italy. They were a business plan. Her 5-year plan, written just 1 week after we said our vows, detailed a life that didn't include me. It listed assets to be acquired, connections to be made, and an exit strategy. My name was under a section titled Initial Phase Limitations, next to a target date for divorce. The final page was a vision board, a collage of magazine cutouts, a penthouse overlooking Central Park, a black American Express card, and a man with a chiseled jaw laughing beside her. It wasn't me. It was him, Julian. And as I stood there in the silence of our attic, I realized my marriage had been a lie since the very beginning. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The first year was a blur of what I thought was happiness. I worked double shifts at the architecture firm in Chicago, pouring everything into building a future for us. And tell me how proud she was. She called my ambition a cornerstone. Now I know she just meant I was a stepping stone. The strange behavior started subtly. She'd come home late from her charity galas, smelling of a cologne that wasn't Mina Sharp, musky scent like expensive gin and regret. She'd angle her phone away from me, a nervous tic she never had before. Receipts for dinners I never attended appeared in her purse stable for 2 at Gibson S Bar and Steakhouse on Rush Street, paid for with a credit card I didn't recognize. When I'd ask, her voice would turn cold, sharp as shattered glass. Are you questioning me? After everything I do for this family? She was a master manipulator, twisting my concern into an accusation, making me feel small and paranoid. The villains, Amelia and Julian, felt untouchable. I saw him once, dropping her off in a sleek black Maserati. He had that smug look of a man who'd never been told no. He caught my eye from the driveway and gave a slow, arrogant nod as if I were the doorman. That night, Amelia told me I was being suffocating. The emotional breakdown happened on a Tuesday. I came home early, holding a bouquet of her favorite lilies, to find the bedroom door slightly ajar. I heard her laughter, a light, carefree sound I hadn't heard in months. She was on the phone, her voice dripping with affection. He has no idea, Jules. He's so focused on his little blueprints, he can't see the architecture of his own ruin. My world collapsed. The lilies slipped from my hand, scattering across the hardwood floor. I sank to my knees in the hallway, the sound of my own heart shattering in my ears. That was the moment the loyal, loving husband died. In his place, something cold and strategic began to grow. My grief turned to ice, then to steel. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to dismantle her world, piece by piece, using the very blueprints she'd laid out in her journal. The first step was gathering proof. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who operated out of a small office in the Loop. He was expensive, but worth every penny. He delivered a folder thick with photographs, Amelia and Julian kissing in a secluded booth at the aviary, their hands intertwined, entering the Peninsula Hotel on a Wednesday afternoon. His car parked in our neighborhood while I was on a business trip. I installed software on her laptop, capturing every email, every text. The conversations were sickening. They mocked my clothes, my job, my devotion. They were planning their future on the ashes of mine. The evidence secured, I set the traps. Amelia's 5-year plan was my guide. Her goal was to be a celebrated philanthropist, the darling of Chicago's elite. Her annual charity fundraiser, the Children's Art Foundation Gala, was her crown jewel, the event that would solidify her status. It was also the perfect stage for her downfall. I contacted the IRS, providing anonymous but detailed tips about her creative accounting with the charity's funds, skimming donations to finance her lavish lifestyle. Then, I moved on to the legal trap. Our assets were considerable, thanks to an inheritance I'd received. I met with my lawyer, a shark named Marcus, and we structured a trust that would protect my inheritance, citing a prenuptial clause Amelia had foolishly dismissed as a formality. We prepared the divorce papers, attaching every piece of evidence, the photos, the texts, the damning pages from her own journal. The night of the gala was electric. The ballroom at the Drake Hotel was filled with Chicago's most powerful people. Amelia was radiant in a glittering gown, moving through the crowd with the grace of a queen. She stood at the podium, a champagne flute in her hand, ready to give her speech. She smiled, a perfect, practiced smile, and began to speak about integrity and sacrifice. That was my cue. As she spoke, a massive screen behind her meant to display images of smiling children flickered to life. It showed the first photograph, Amelia and Julian locked in an embrace. A collective gasp swept through the room. Then the next photo, and the next. Her texts to him appeared, projected for all to see. He's a fool, but a useful one for now. The final image was a scanned page from her journal, my name under initial phase limitations. The silence in the ballroom was absolute, broken only by the sound of Amelia's champagne flute shattering on the floor. Her face, stripped of its arrogant mask, was a canvas of pure horror. At that exact moment, two stern-faced IRS agents entered the ballroom and walked directly to her. The public exposure was complete. The fallout was brutal. The charity was exposed as a fraud. Her socialite friends abandoned her overnight. The divorce was swift and merciless. The judge, looking at the mountain of evidence, granted me everything. She was left with nothing but the clothes on her back and the crushing weight of her public shame. Julian, ever the coward, disappeared, his law firm releasing a statement that he was on an indefinite leave of absence. She was utterly, completely ruined. I never saw her again. Sometimes late at night, I sit in the quiet of the house we once shared, the house I won back. I think about that leather-bound journal. I didn't burn it, still up in the attic. A cold reminder that the most intricate blueprints can be for a life, or for its demolition.